Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there, enjoying your day. We got some updates, some breaking news as of this morning, and it's a very interesting one. The reason why I say that is because the details that we have here are absolutely shocking. Let me say that again. These details are absolutely shocking, surprising, and shocking. So get ready, because we got one hell of a show for you guys, a hell of an update for you guys, okay? Let me put that music back on. This is very interesting. We have been covering and talking about this triple M that happened in Oklawaha, hopefully I'm saying that right, Florida, where the lives of 3 teenagers were taken. Their bodies were found in various areas and all that, including one of a body of a 16-year-old by the name of Layla Silvernail. Now we have new names involved in this. We have another victim's name as well. The third one they still have not come out with that information. But also at the same time, they have now come out with more information saying that they have 2 of the suspects. It's very wild, y'all. And the more in this information is pretty crazy. I'm just going to say that. It's shocking. It is pretty wild. And we are going to be watching a press conference with the chief of police. He had some things to say. He was not shy to say what he wanted to say. Okay. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Very little time to do it. It's pretty wild. But the details in this are actually really shocking, y'all. And I'm not saying that this is not clickbait. There's information here that is just surprising. It's not what you expected. In fact, the title of this article that we have here, it says, there's no honor among thieves. Think about that for a little bit. Let that settle in and soak in all the way down to the plums, okay, as we go into this story. All right? So please do me a favor just to get things moving, okay? Like your first morning cup of coffee, get it? Hit that like button down below, all right? Send it past 300 likes as you guys start to file in. This is breaking news. This is new information. And if you were following this case and this tragic story, we got new shocking information for you guys. So hit that like button, send it past 300 likes. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Okay. And of course, hit that notification bell so that you know when I go live or whenever I upload, because it be random. Okay. It be random when I go live and I upload. Okay. Hit that notification bell to all. Do not forget to, and if you want to, hit that join button down below. Okay, let's get into this. And I will be back on a little bit later on this afternoon because we got another story, a brand new one for you guys that I think you'll want to know. And so be ready for that. That'll be going on in the next couple hours at the top of the early afternoon. So I'll be back on here to break a new story with you guys that I think you guys will want to know. I was planning on doing it this morning, but I just decided we need to close or at least cover this part. We have new breadcrumbs in this leading us to justice for these 3 young teenagers. And so I wanted to give you guys this information real quick for your, as you're getting your morning cup of joe in you, like me. I'm doing that too. See, I'm drinking a cup with bunnies on it. So there's that today. Anyway. Oh, that coffee's so good. It's so good today. All right. So We got some things to talk about, guys. We got some things. Okay. Some things. What the heck? All right. We got some things to talk about, guys. So let me show you guys this article. And this may be a brief show. This may be a brief show. We have the press conference that I want to show you guys as well with the sheriff or with the chief of police, of course. We want to hear what he has to say here as well. Okay. Because he's got a lot to say, like I said earlier. But we need to look at this article and this title right here. There's no honor among thieves. They have a 12-year-old. They have a suspect as young, a baby. This is a child, okay? As young as 12 years old and a 17-year-old. There's apparently a third juvenile that's still on the loose. That person's still out there kicking rocks out in these wilderness streets in Florida right now, okay? But what they have right now are two suspects. One is 17 and one is as young as 12 in connection to the demise of these three teenagers that lost their life. But on top of that, they're now saying that these monsters and the victims were behind burglary and robbery sprees in their town. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This is real talk. They were involved. They were all involved in bad things together. Together, y'all. But what's crazy is these three kids lose their life after them doing B&Es, breaking and enterings, or pickpocketing, or robbing stores or something. Three kids that all knew each other lost their lives. So they were all connected in some way. They all knew each other in some way. Remember when he said hybrid gangs, or like a hybrid gang members? I think this is exactly what he was talking about. Meaning just a ragtag group of kids of different backgrounds all coming together to cause crimes. Pretty crazy. That's why there is no honor among thieves, because after they went out and did this spree of robberies and burglaries and whatnot, these three young kids lost their lives. Let's get into this. And we're going to look at the press conference here in a second as well. But this is just absolutely insane to me. And maybe this is the reason why there is a connection. This is obviously the reason why there's a connection between the three. Well, there's an alleged third suspect on the loose. But if this is all true, these three suspects, this is the reason why these three suspects and these three students were able to be in the same room, in the same car, or in the same place at the same time, because they were out committing crimes together. Hence the hybrid gangs, at least in my theory. Okay. Yeah, we starting out hot today with the info. So let's get into this article, shall we? Because this is pretty insane and heartbreaking. And you know what? And before we jump into this, this is going to be my theme for today, or at least for this show. Talk to your kids. And I'm not sitting here saying that all you guys are terrible. I ain't saying you terrible. Okay. I ain't saying that. Hold up. Time out. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I keep saying this over and over and over again. And in other cases, other stories, other tragedies, we should all be looking at these situations as cautionary tales for ourselves as well. I'm not trying to bring in fear I'm not trying to be a fear monger. I'm not trying to sit here and say your kids are going to lose their minds if you don't talk to them. All I'm just trying to say is talk to your kids. Create that dialogue with your children. I know it can be really hard to make a connection with our kids because they are going through changes. You know what I'm saying? They are growing up and going through weird things. But I can't emphasize enough how important it is to at least have some connection with your kids. Because sometimes you just don't know what they're really doing out here in these streets, or the kind of kids, what kind of company they are keeping. At face value, they could be coming to you as like the kindest. They're angels, right? And then they go out there and they're up to no good. And I know we're not out here that we can't see all and be everywhere, but at least just being on that conversation, having that conversation and understanding your kids a little bit more, I think will be very helpful to maybe change the direction that some of these kids are going down or going towards. I just had to say that out loud. You know what I mean? Sometimes, these kind of things really speak to me tremendously, and it's scary to think that we as parents, we as adults have a hard time connecting with our kids. I mean, connection happens when they're growing up and all that, right? But then as soon as they hit the teens, high school and all that, it just suddenly changes, and it's weird. And I'm not sitting here saying be your kid's best friend. I'm just saying make sure that dialogue, that communication with your kid is there and is fluid. And that they know that they're not going to get in trouble if they just come to you to talk to you about something. Like they're not going to get their ass beat every time that they tell you something that's going on with them. You know what I'm saying? Because I get it. Some of us discipline. You feel me? Some of us discipline. But at the same time, you still want to have that open conversation, right? And let them know that they can come to you about anything, whatever it is. I'm not going to fly off the handle. You could talk to me, But anyway, this is just interesting information. Let's get into this, okay? So a 12-year-old boy and a 17-year-old have been arrested in connection to the M's of 3 teenagers in Florida. We have Christopher Atkins, 12 years old. We have Robert Robinson, 17. They allegedly confessed to at least one of these incidents or one of these tragedies, which has rocked the small town of Ocklawaha. And authorities have launched an urgent manhunt for the third suspect, Taj Bruton. That kid is 16 years old. They starting young out here, y'all. They starting young out here. Layla Silvernail, 16, which we've already known about, okay, when we talked about it in previous live. That was the first name that they put out because she was the one who actually survived this attack, but then she lost her life at the hospital, okay? But she was 16 years old. Now they've come out with Camille Quarles, who was also 16, which we knew that the other girl that was found in a submerged car was a 16-year-old girl. Her name now is Camille Quarles. And then, of course, there was an unidentified 17-year-old victim, okay? And, of course, they were aimed at together in a car. So from what we are understanding now, we're going to hear that in the press conference as well. They say that they were all their lives were tragically taken at the same time in the car together. Okay? Before they were discovered over a span of 3 days within a 5-mile radius. So their lives were taken in the car, and then these little monsters drove around within a 5-mile radius, just discarding 2 of the bodies, and then they just left one in the back of the car, which is where Camille was found. Let's go on. The victims and their suspect monsters are allegedly behind a recent spate of robberies and burglaries to hit the small Florida community. They were all involved in crime together as a gang. Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods told a press conference Friday that the motive for the unalivings was robbery, as he revealed that one of the perpetrators is still on the loose. He says, "I will get him," Woods said, adding that the group were all associated with a gang in some shape or another. Hence what he meant by hybrid gang. And we ain't talking about Blade, okay? We ain't talking about Wesley Snipes' Blade. Crazy, guys. Crazy. Here's some of the photos of these guys. Let me show it to you. This is Christopher Atkins. He is 12 years old, and he's connected to these unalivings. 12. We have Robert Robinson. He is 17 years old. He's obviously in custody right now, but he is connected to the unalivings of these 3 students, of these 3 teenagers in Florida. And we have Taj Bruton. He is still out on the lam. Moving on. Detectives were able to determine that the 3 teenage victims were together prior to their unalivings, in a vehicle owned by Silvernail before they were dumped in different locations over a 3-day period. Crazy. A witness reportedly heard a series of gunshots at the time, leading detectives to believe the teens were all unalived at the same time, the sheriff said, which we'll be hearing in the press conference here shortly. 16-year-old Silvernail was still alive when she was discovered last Thursday night with a GSW to the head, a gunshot wound to the head, and left not in, they keep saying in a dumpster. She was found next to the dumpster, guys, in Forest Lakes Park. She later lost her life in the hospital, which we already know. The grisly discovery was followed hours later when an unnamed 17-year-old victim was found less than a mile away from on the side of the road. A third victim, 16-year-old Camille Quarles, was found Saturday inside Silvernail's car, which was partially submerged in a pond, which we already knew about all this information here too. But this is Camille Quarles. She was 16 years old. This was the girl that was found in the back of the vehicle, Silvernail's vehicle. And let me just say this. These 2, allegedly, Layla and Camille, were both, including the third 17-year-old kid that they have not identified at all yet. They were all involved with these 3 other boys, okay, those other suspects. They were all involved in burglaries and robberies together. Just want to make that abundantly clear. This is why I say, please talk to your kids, because you just don't know who they're really hanging out with. Real talk. Conversate with your kids. Even if it's painful, conversate with your kids. because you see, even my dog concurs. He's like, that's right. Talk to your kids, because it doesn't matter. If you at least put that out there, that you're there to listen, that you're there to have that conversation, and maybe they'll be able to turn to you and say, okay, yeah, I don't feel right about this. We're about to do this, this, and this. I don't want to get in trouble, but I need to talk to somebody. Because I know when we all were teenagers, we all went through some things. We all grew up weird. We all did. As much as everyone out here trying to sit here and say, oh, yeah, I had a normal teenage life. Nah, in the world of teenagedom, it's always weird. Okay, it's weird. You're going through things, you're growing, you're changing, all that stuff. Man, it's dumb for people to think that they didn't grow up weird, that they didn't go through things. Okay, Sidecar Tommy said I was insane. I'm sorry, I was insane. I was out my mind. Yeah, welcome to teenagers. Okay, all trying to express and be their own individual. We're going down the realm of individuality and all that crap. Come on, let's keep it real. We all grew up weird. We all did. Okay? We all did. Conversate with your kids. Moving on. Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods told a press conference Friday that the unalivings were gang-related and said that in some shape or another, each were associated with a gang. The sheriff broke down several times as he detailed the tragic unalivings and alleged the group being together prior to the unalivings with the intention to commit a crime. He said, "Do I have to spell it out for you? What do you think? What do you think they were doing?" He said, "They're gangs because they commit crimes." Yeah, you're not a gang so you can read the Bible. You know what I'm saying? You're not throwing out gang signs and going, what would Jesus do? Nah, you're not doing that. Nah, sorry, you're not. You're committing crimes. Woods said that at some time during the episode, the suspects turned on the victims before shooting them all inside the car. These three individuals turned on our victims and M'd them. They fled the scenes and left a lot of evidence in their wake, he added. And here, of course, is Sheriff Woods. And trust me, we're going to be hearing him soon. The close proximity of the unalivings led fears that a serial killer may be on the loose in Ocklawaha, Florida. However, police were quick to rule out that theory. And that was, at first, they were like, oh my gosh, is there a new one? Right? And no. That didn't happen, or that's not true. An urgent investigation was launched following the grisly discoveries, with law enforcement describing the unalivings as an isolated incident, which can make sense now that we hear what's really going on. But again, like I said before, sheriff or the police are going to know a lot more than what they're giving out, right? So of course, now when we hear this was all really gang related, it does make sense that this was a isolated incident. The sheriff told Fox News Digital on Thursday that he was investigating multiple suspects in the case, adding that he believes the perpetrators knew the victims. It's multiple suspects. It's more than two, he said, maintaining that the suspects may be gang related. After Silvernail and Quarles were identified as the victims, the identity of the third victim has not been released because their family have enacted their right of Marsy's Law, which allows crime victims or their families to request their names to be withheld from public documents. So, no honor among thieves is definitely the theme here of this story. You have three individuals. One is as young as 12 years old that are involved in the unalivings of these three students. Now, I want to get into this press conference because it's got a lot. There's a lot going on in this press conference, baby. There's a lot. So we're going to look into this and take a look at this as a family as well. Definitely hit the number one to let me know you guys can hear this, because we're watching the whole thing, because he says a lot in here that I think you guys will appreciate hearing. Let's just say that. Let's rock and roll, shall we?
Events talk about what is the problem. And I'm going to go ahead and address the first thing that I know it's going to come up. Because there are individuals out there viewing, and to include some of you media, that want to blame the one thing that has no ability or the capacity to commit the crime itself. And that's the gun. These individuals committed the crime. And what's the solution? I wish I could give you that answer, because this world would be a whole lot better. But the fact is, society fails it. We do not hold our juveniles accountable. We minimize their actions. And let me tell you why I say this. Last night, I had to stare into the eyes of two mothers. It's not their fault. Because what I saw last night was two mothers who are willing to give their sons everything, do everything for them, and give them their own lives. But just like you and I, no matter how much we teach them, because I am a father, I am a father, and I cannot fathom what they were going through. These mothers and mothers across this nation need all of your help. Because here's what infuriates me. I've got a particular media who has a problem with putting photos of juveniles out. Now, we do it what the law says we can do. Put these photos out. I put myself in the shoes of those mothers because I heard one of them say it. I wish I would have known what this one was doing and who they were, because my kid never would have hung out with them. And to think and believe, to minimize any actions that is criminal of a juvenile is a disservice, and frankly, stupid to think. We need to hold them accountable. And then hope that we can change them.
First off, let me say this. I understand his frustrations. I really do. I get it. He's annoyed, frustrated, angered. I'm sure the amount of stuff that he's seen in his time, in his job, I'm sure he's seen some things. It's just interesting that, I even said this the other day when we were watching his other press conference. It feels like he's like about to announce that he's running for mayor, but I understand his frustrations and what he's saying right now. I do understand where he's coming from, but it is pretty wild that you got parents that are sitting here saying, man, if only I had known, my kid would not have been hanging out with this person at all, so on and so forth. That's why I keep sitting here and saying, hey guys, y'all, talk to your kids. Dialogue. Start a conversation. And you're right. I see his point. He's right. It's not that the guns that do it, it's the people behind the gun that are doing it as well. It does feel like a little bit NRA-ish, a little bit, but still, no matter what, he's got a point. There are people out here that are really out here up to no good, doing bad things, causing havoc. People are losing their lives because of the glorification, of crime, the glorification of being an outlaw that's out here in the media, in these streets and all that. You have a 12-year-old boy, a 12-year-old, hadn't even hit puberty yet. This is a boy, okay, involved in the taking of these 3 kids' lives. A person as young as 12 is out here being introduced to this type of crime, this way of life. That's insane, guys. That's absolutely insane. But again, I do think that there's a lot of parents out here that really don't know what their kids are doing out here in these streets when they're not being watched. It really does start at home, guys. I can't emphasize that enough. It does happen. It does all start at home. It really does. This is crazy, but let's continue on.
I'm not going to be able to give you everything because there is a third suspect that we were unable to locate last night. But however, you will receive, you may already have it, the probable cause affidavit that tells you the details of the events that occurred. I will tell you this. I already told you of the witness hearing the gunshots. That is when all 3 were killed. The suspects were in the vehicle. This individual, who is a juvenile also, is who we're looking for. Now, I'm talking to the viewers. Some of you know him, you know where he is, and you need to turn him in. Now, I will get him. I will find him, and justice will be completed. As you can imagine, my thoughts are all over this page right now. Fighting these type of crimes requires all of us to come together as a community. And Marion County stepped up to the plate. And we've been successful. Now, I know I've forgotten something and I'm missing something, so I'm going to open up the floor to questions.
Any type of motive given?
Mentioned it, robbery.
Sheriff Wood,
Go to her first.
I want to clarify. I know you said the suspects were in the vehicle. So are you saying all 6 were in there at one time?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the 3 individuals, the 2 that are in custody, and this person, they turned on the other 3 in the vehicle, and that's how this unfolded.
That's correct.
In the commission of a robbery of the 3 victims?
Not going to get into too many more of those details because of the third suspect being out.
Sheriff Wood, Ted Williams with Fox News. Did the suspects and the 3 dead teens, have you been able to determine how long they've known each other?
Short time.
Sheriff, you mentioned the gun. Do we know how the suspect got a hold of the weapon?
Car burglaries. Yeah. Ain't that right? All the gun laws we got in place didn't prevent it, did it?
Okay, before we go into that, because he gets on his soapbox again. But as you can see, these were car burglaries. So they were going and, carjacking and whatnot. Okay. And that's crazy that they were involved in this type of thing, right? They were jacking cars out here, guys. All of them. Allegedly, all of them together as a team were out here doing bad. You know, it's interesting. I got a crazy. Like they were carjacking, like they were going off and taking cars. Now I'm wondering what exactly they were doing. Were they just stealing things out of the car, or were they hot wiring cars and taking them? That's the part I want to know, because there's it could explain a lot. It could say a lot too. Okay. Now, Matthew just said, "What's up, Matthew?" He said, "I got to be honest. Me and my friend used to sneak around the neighborhood and steal stuff from cars. Don't judge me. LOL. Joking. You can if you want." Now, the thing is yeah, you never know like what they were doing. And let me be real. I knew kids in grade school that used to like steal like stupid things from cars. Like they would just take off the I forgot what they're called, like the nuts from the actual, from the wheels, from the hubcaps and stuff, right? I remember kids doing stupid stuff like that, just starting little collections, just being dumb because they're just, I don't know why they did that, okay? But from my understanding, it sounds like what Victoria said. They were just going in and smashing and grabbing in a way and just getting whatever they could get out of cars. And let's be real, you can find a lot in cars. People leave a lot of stuff in their cars. Okay. I've had my car broken into a couple times, and it's not fun because especially you leave something you thought you didn't leave in there, and suddenly it's something of value or something that you that was sentimental. Next thing you know, they jack all that stuff, to either sell or whatever. Okay. Yeah, lug nuts. Thank you. Yes, Harlot. Real talk. I knew kids that used to do that, and I'm like, why do you do that? That is so stupid. But they would go and collect them. It was insane. Yeah, I got this from a Mercedes, yo. Crazy. Why they do it? I couldn't even tell you. People be dumb out here. Kids can be really dumb, especially when they're bored. Never underestimate the power of just pure, unadulterated boredom. And for some odd reason, they want to go and do something stupid like that. They're not actually stealing anything inside the car. They're actually taking the lug nuts off the wheel of a car. Just one, not all of them, just one. Stupidest thing I've ever heard. Stupid. Okay. Mama Bear 37, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. There's no way a 12-year-old could fully understand the gravity of this situation, even from a developmental standpoint. This is truly devastating. You know what, Mama Bear? I agree. It is insane that we have a 12-year-old kid out here. We got kids out here as young as 6 years old pulling the pew on teachers and stuff like that. We have heard those stories. It's insane. And it's easy for us to sit there and go through and go, blame the this and blame the that. I mean, there's a lot to look at, and there's a lot to fully grasp here. We have some serious problems going on out here in these streets, and it's been going on for a while. And it could be the problem. Okay, it could be the problem of a situation of, let's be real, people out here that are, man, it could very well be the environment. You got to understand there's stuff out here that kids are embracing and consuming and seeing with their eyes. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's not only it's not only it starts at home, it's also the environment and the village that they're being brought up in as well. It's not only just because of the video games or the movies and the music videos they watch, right? Or the social media clips that they see on WorldStar or on any of these platforms that we see that are out here every single day. It's also the people, the company that they keep as well. You know, you are the company that you keep. Let's keep it real. It's not only just one thing. It's a combination of all these things. And that's what's tough for parents out here. They got to make sure that there's a proper balance for their kids. And if it is a single parent household and that parent is always gone working, and I'm not sitting here knocking single parents, okay? You keep rocking, you keep working hard, because I know how, I can only imagine how hard it is, okay? Keep holding it down. But that's why the village, that's why extended family, relatives, and all of that are even more important than ever. You know, the grandparents, the aunties, the uncles, etc., that are around to help raise those kids with you. Because a lot of times, if you're working a 70-hour week, it's going to be hard for you to raise that child completely successfully, right? Without a little bit of help, without a little bit of love, you know? So it is crazy. And it does take everybody, takes everybody to raise that child or to raise those children, okay? Charlie Miller, thank you so much for the 2. I appreciate it. There are no consequences. I say this as a teacher. Yeah, you're right. That's the other thing too. A lot of these kids are not seeing that there are repercussions for their actions. And maybe they're learning that very young, very early on. Shoot, this kid is 12 years old and he did this. I do think, or he's involved in this. And I do think that maybe with that, I mean, I wasn't there, but there's a part of you that makes it feel like maybe they were forcing him, or initiation type of stuff. I don't know. But this is very, very wild and heartbreaking nonetheless. Okay. Nonetheless. Smoky Blue Days just said, you can bet 12-year-olds are starting to understand that, quote unquote, I won't be held accountable. They know they're not looking at life in prison. They know whatever happens, they will be back out in a few years. Maybe, and maybe not. You know what I mean? Maybe and maybe not. But let's continue on with this. I mean, he's about to get on his soapbox again, but still, no matter what, this is just crazy stuff. Let's take a listen. Let's continue.
Neither will any new ones. Because here's the fact. The bad guy is going to get a gun no matter what law you have put in place. These juveniles shouldn't even possess a handgun. But they did. And I'll go back to you, add your question. A simple burglary, as some people will say, but I don't consider anything simple when it comes to a burglary. The law allows me, I'll plaster their face up on this page, up on my page, up on media. I will hand it out if the law allows me, because parents have the right to know who their kids are hanging out with and preventing this.
What did the suspect's parents say when you spoke with them about their arrest?
I personally didn't speak to them about the arrest. It was immediately after the interviews in which I talked to the mothers. But really, they don't have a whole lot to say. If you're a parent, put yourself in their shoes. Holy hell. Panic. I'm scared to death as a parent. Embarrassed. Ashamed. What do you think they're going to say?
Sheriff Woods, do you know if these 3 juveniles will be tried as adults?
All right, state attorney's office is reviewing that right now. Okay, so I don't want to say yes and then it turn around no, then you'll end up calling me a liar at some point. So
What does to kind of piggyback off that, so what does accountability look like for you? I know you talked about juveniles being held accountable for their actions.
I will refrain an awful lot on that answer to this question, to the full extent of the law. Okay, don't take me wrong. I might be hard on people, but I also have a heart. And I've already told you, I am a father. But here's the one thing my boys know. Growing up, the freaking barber had my permission to whip their asses. And not only that, when this stuff came up on TV, I pointed him. I said, you don't have to worry about the law coming after you. Full extent. Because they took a life. Are y'all comprehending that? They took a life without thought. They deserve the full extent of the law.
This Sheriff Savage, let me just tell you, he is like, I swear to God, he's like a character from a Western or like a really good cop movie. You know what I'm saying? He's like a character from a movie, but I do understand his frustration and his anger. Definitely. But did you hear what he said earlier? He said the barber could whoop his kid's ass. He gave the barber permission because he's like, hey, nah, man, this is all about it takes a village to raise these doggone kids because these kids out here are acting a doggone fool. And you know for a fact, if dad went off to go get something down the street while they're getting their haircuts, they think, well, hey, well, while the cat's away, the mice can play. Oh, no, 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 no. He's like, yo, man, if they act out, you can scold them too. You can discipline them because they know for a fact that my presence is still there. Okay, I grew up Haitian. Okay, I'm Haitian. I'm Haitian American. The way we grew up, man, you out here doing something, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. They will put you in line like that was Dusty. That was Dusty. Like that, whatever it is. Okay. Real talk. The authority is growing the way I grew up. Okay. They don't play. It's everyone, the whole village. They will discipline that age. Who will they? With the quickness. So that's why he said, hey, man, even the barber had the thumbs up. Because that's how the world is. Okay. You can't give these kids an inch because they're going to take a whole mile. They think they're untouchable type ish. It's crazy, but it's the truth. It does take a village. I know that sounds annoying saying that over and over and over again. Okay. But that saying is very true. Okay. Yeah. KK. That was all those snaps with Dusty. Okay. Dusty. Okay. But real talk, man. I mean, what somebody just said, Sadie Sage just said, they're easily influenced by others because the lack of guidance, that's exactly right. 110%. 110%. And that's the thing. I at least for me, and I said this the other day, I'm like, I feel like I'm just turning into an old man because I keep going, these kids get things so easy. They're getting away with M kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? But it does feel like a lot of these kids out here have zero discipline. They have zero concern of the repercussions of their actions. They don't worry about doing the right thing. They just do what they want to do and feel like whatever comes to them, it won't happen to them. And that is insane to me. That's insane to me. Again, I keep saying, I'll keep urging you guys, please talk to your children. Please talk to your children. Let's continue.
Did you come in contact with these teens before? Because I see the pictures. Are these mugshots
I personally haven't, but have we? Minimum contact. I can tell you right now. I know somebody over here had a question.
Sure.
Andy?
Do I understand correctly that the three victims were an active part of crimes prior to their deaths with these three? Is that correct?
I don't want to give too much detailed information, okay? But let me put it this way. My dad was a fireman. Always said, where there's smoke, there's fire, okay? Let's, folks, don't ask dumbass questions. And Andy, I apologize. But really? Do I have to spell it out to you?
This dude.
What do you think they were doing? They're associated with a gang. And I've told some of y'all in interviews, gangs don't go to church on Sunday and then preach the gospel for the next 6 days. They're gangs because they commit crimes.
Hmm.
How simple is this idea? Where are we losing it? And I know we're going long, but this is my press conference, not yours.
Damn. Okay, first off, man, he this is devastating information, by the way. This is very sad information, but man, this man makes it wow. Imagine if the chief of police for the Idaho police was like this. Man, there'd be like memes all over the place with this guy, but this dude is just, he's on it. Okay, he just called one of the reporters' questions a dumbass question. Woo! He angry. He's frustrated, man. It's funny because a lot of what he's saying on the like what he's thinking on the inside, he's just saying it out. He's got alligator mouth. He's just saying it. He don't care. I get his frustration, but yeah, Tyler, he going off. Okay, he going off. But imagine any other. This is very unorthodox. I'm not used to this kind of reaction. I'm really not. We're used to we're going to keep that close to the chest, and we're going to let you know in a little bit. Can't say that. Sorry, keeping that close to the vest. This guy is like, that's a dumb question. What do you guys think? Use your brain. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. He said that's a dumbass question. You know what? Let me see if I can play that back. Let me see if I can make a miracle happen.
Were an active part of crimes prior to their deaths with these three? Is that correct?
I don't want to give too much detailed information, okay? But let me put it this way. My dad was a fireman. Always said, where there's smoke, there's fire, okay? Let's, folks, don't ask dumbass questions. And Andy, I apologize. But really?
He's
I have
had
to
enough.
spell it out to you? What do you think they were doing? They're associated with a gang. And I've told some of y'all in interviews, gangs don't go to church on Sunday and then preach the gospel for the next 6 days.
He ain't wrong with that.
They're gangs because they commit crimes.
He said, that's a dumbass question. The hell you asking me? You coming to this press conference, you talk to me right, okay? You ask me the right questions. Don't ask me these stupid. No. In this press conference, there is such thing as dumb questions, okay? So don't even ask me dumb questions. Let's move on.
How simple is this idea? Where are we losing it? And I know we're going long, but this is my press conference, not yours.
Man.
Sure.
Yes.
If all six were committing crimes, you know why the three turned on the other three?
I can't divulge that. I wish I could tell you. I'll tell you when we get this one. Okay? Listen, I want to tell you everything. I really do. And since day one, I've wanted to tell you anything. They have had a leash on me like you wouldn't believe. Next. Let's get somebody new.
Do we know the timeline of the three victims in terms of how they were shot? Was it all at once? And then?
That's a good question, though.
Hold back. You heard the bosses.
That's a good question, though.
Were they hanging out somewhere? How were you able to catch up with them?
Do you want?
The one subject on the previous photo, Rob Robinson, was in custody already at the juvenile detention facility. And the Christopher Atkins, the 12-year-old, we located him at his house yesterday after serving a search warrant.
They weren't on the run or anything, they surprised you didn't see you show up.
Yes, they were very surprised we showed up.
Are you able to make any statements as to what they said?
I'll leave that to the sheriff.
No, you'll get that eventually. We told you he was in DJJ. He was arrested by OPD the next morning after the murder.
What were the charges on that?
An affray at the school. Oh, that's what I call a light bulb coming on right there. Remember I just talked about minimizing and holding students accountable? Our school districts, not just here, I'm not going to point out just mine, school districts across this state and across this nation need to quit minimizing the actions of their students. Hold them accountable. That's where the failure is.
Y'all heard that, right? I'm going to roll that back a little bit because we need to hear that one more time. I'm going to roll that back a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Just a little bit. Because that question, which led to that answer, does say a lot. And remember what we talked about the other day about Felicia, even Adriana as well. I'm going to play that one more again. Okay.
He was arrested by OPD the next morning after the murder.
What were the charges on that?
An affray at the school. Oh, that's what I call a light bulb coming on right there.
So what? See that part? No, fray at the school. That's one thing I'm trying to understand what that means. Okay. Because I don't know what he means by that. He said, no, fray at the school. I don't know what that means. No disrespect. I don't know what that means. But if you guys know what that means, please say it in the comment section. But still, something happened at the school, which caused the arrest of one of these kids. Okay. One of these suspects. Oh, maybe a fight, text mess, maybe a fight at the school. Okay. Oh, then what is Ofray, bro? The F is Ofray. I've never heard that before. Oh, okay. That's news to me, man. I didn't know what that meant. Okay. That is news to me. Sorry. That one's new. All right. You know, maybe you'll be like, man, Pascal, you living on a rock. That's what it means. That's the first time I ever heard that before in my life. Real talk. Okay. But still, remember, he's like, oh, I'm going to play the rest of this. But remember, we talked about Felicia. We talked about Adriana. And shoot, any of these other cases and these tragedies that we have talked about where the school could have done more. Okay. Could have stepped up, etc. It's just very interesting. But let him play. Let me play this so he can say what he needs to say. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it now. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Nicole B. Like a quarrel. Thank you so much. You got to bring in the SAT words. Okay, I feel you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I was like, what the hell does that mean? But that's why I got you guys. You guys are my human dictionaries, encyclopedias, and thesauruses. Okay, so I appreciate you guys. Anyway, let's continue. But you saw he was like, yeah, see, that sparks up some interest.
Remember, I just talked about minimizing and holding students accountable.
Yep.
Our school districts, not just here, I'm not going to point out just mine. School districts across this state and across this nation need to quit minimizing the actions of their students. Hold them accountable.
Is he running for prez? I'm serious. Did we just talk about this just the other day when we were talking about Felicia and how she did the unthinkable thing. Was found inside the bathroom, inside a bathroom stall in her school, in her elementary school. Remember that? And we just said, hey, we should be holding these schools as well, not holding these schools, but holding these students accountable when they're out here acting a doggone fool in these educational streets as well. It's not only just it starts at home, it's also the stuff that they're letting pass by in schools as well. I've said it. Again, not trying to knock any teachers out here, because you know what? You mold the minds of these of the future. And I seriously bow to you guys. But sometimes these schools, like with what happened with Felicia, they just let things fly under the radar like it don't matter. And that's the frustrating part of it all. So he's sitting here going, it's not only that, it's this too. We got a lot of work to do, guys, period. A lot of work. And that's all he's pointing out. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But if they think that they can get away with it at school, they probably think they can get away with it everywhere else too. Let's continue. He ain't wrong.
That's where the failure is.
He ain't wrong.
Do we know where the last suspect was seen?
We're going to hold that one.
Did all three have guns, or was it just one gun? And which one pulled the trigger? You know that.
All right. Some of that I'm not going to answer. Some of it I will. The one I will is the two confessed to shooting
Oh, wow.
our third victim.
So that 12-year-old did confess to doing this.
How many guns were involved?
I'm not going to answer that one.
Crazy.
I appreciate your questions. You
Don't-
wouldn't be doing your job if you didn't ask. Any others?
So just the third suspect, is the public needs to worry about him?
No, the community doesn't need to worry about them outside of, I want them to find them.
Facts.
That's what they need to worry about, is locating him for me. And they do. If you ain't ever watched my Wanted by Woods Wednesday, that's successful and they find them. I'll allow one more.
Are these juveniles all students at the same school?
No. All righty. Thank you.
So, what a very wild and heartbreaking, honestly, an extremely heartbreaking piece of information that we just received. One, there are two suspects that have been apprehended. They have been detained, arrested. Both of them have confessed to this tragic crimes or to these tragedies. There is still one on the loose, still as far as we know, still on the loose as this live is going on right now. This press conference revealed a lot, that these three students or these three teenagers that lost their lives were actually working along with the other three monsters that, okay, they were out there stealing from cars. It's heartbreaking, guys. It's heartbreaking. Let's get some super chats in here. Honey Badger, thank you so much for the 5. I'm sorry, but parents are responsible for knowing who their kids hang with and what they are doing. If they didn't know, quote unquote, didn't know, they didn't try to know. You know, I agree. But I will say this too. I mean, if they are trying to know, they're trying. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that you may know through acquaintance, through other people, because you never know. It could be, and I'm not sitting here saying this scenario, because this scenario, obviously, if you're in the same car with these monsters and they're the ones taking your kid's life, then obviously they know a direct connect. There's a direct connect to those kids. But there's also the thing of, your daughter, your son might be friends with another kid that on paper, or at least or at face value, seems like he's a good kid, but he also runs around with some riffraff out here in these streets. That could be it too. So you might be meeting the kid and he's very, clean cut and very proper and just at face value, the facade is a good kid, but then he's running around causing crimes too. And then your kid is running around later with that kid too, unbeknownst to you. So you just never know. You just never know what your kids are what your kids are running around with, who they're hanging out with, and all that. That's why I keep saying it's so important to just have conversations, the dialogue, conversations with your kids, because that's the thing that's going to help. One, keep you on keeping close tabs on your kid, and also just keeping that open dialogue with your kids so that if something does go wrong, if they're in dire straits, whatever, they can turn to you and talk to you about these things rather than them going to social media and trying to seek help that way, or them trying to talk to their best friend who's probably all up in the drama in a bad way as well, steering them towards wrong decisions. That also happens too. But you're right. If you're not actively trying to find out who the kids your kid is actually hanging out with, then yeah, you're dropping the ball, because that's your response. That's your number one main priority, main responsibility as a parent. Keep tabs on your kids, but also it's I keep saying it. It's not having the tether super tight. You got have a little give, right? Just a tiny bit of give in there, but you still got that tether. And you hold on to that till you basically die. You have that until the kid, you have that for life. Because parenting is forever. Okay, it's to infinity. It's not till they hit 16. It's not till they get to college. You still worrying about them in college. Most of them go buck wild in college. Real talk. So that's why you keep that connection. That's why you keep the dialogue and that communication open so that they can talk to you about things, Charlie Miller, thank you so much for the 5. We need to stop making excuses for single parents. I was raised by a single parent for years before my mom remarried. I'm now a teacher. Well, first off, shout out to you, Charlie Miller. And yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I think that single parents need help. They do. It's not just I don't know. I don't know how some of y'all parents, single parents, do it. I can only imagine. It's some weird, crazy witchcraft that you guys do. It's an amazing skill that the ones that are able to successfully raise their children to be good, law-abiding citizens, where their kids aren't going off running amok, losing their minds, acting a doggone fool. It is amazing. It's a crazy thing that I don't know. It's some weird sorcery, I think. But I do think that it's really important that I just think it's important that the extended family, the whoever you have on your side to hold it down with you, is there to help raise the kids too, and leading by example, right? Because sometimes even parents, even dual earning households, they're not leading by example. They're making really, really bad choices right in front of their kids, and those kids are consuming that. They're consuming that at a very young age. They're computing all that, and they think that's the way of the samurai when it's not. You see? So it's not only just single parents, it's also dual households, traditional households, mom and dad, or dad and dad, or mom and mom, whatever it is. It's crazy. But they're sitting here listening to that stuff. Okay. They're listening, they're watching with their own two eyes, and then they're following that example that you are leaving behind as well. So it's not only just single parents, it's everything. Okay. Lead by example. Charlie Miller, again, thank you so much for the 5. Coming from a teacher point of view, students today don't want to learn, know they can be disrespectful to adults. No administration reward bad behavior. Yeah. Well, first off, thank you so much for your thought on this. It's funny because we were hearing the same thing growing up as students as well. Teachers would sit there and say the same thing, but I think it's gotten worse. I think it's gotten a lot worse. It's cranked up even more. Why? Maybe it's technology. Maybe they're getting the information, they're consuming information through the phones and all that. Everything is easily accessible through their phones. They're playing video games. There's this disconnect that happens. Okay? There's this disconnect. And it's crazy because you don't see, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of kids out here that don't really realize consequences. But we live in a weird time now. And a lot of the answers that they need, or a lot of the questions that they have, that they want answered, they just can type it into their phone, Google, bang, there's the answer. Or they can easily open up an account or a social media page and see violence popping off. And they consume that with their eyes as well. Again, you got to remember, like, there's a lot of kids out here that want to be a part of that thuggish, ruggish bone. I don't understand why. And they may be living with a silver spoon in their mouth. I said it the other show. They might be growing up with a silver spoon in their mouth, never need for nothing, get everything they want. They got a pool in the back. They go on horse riding lessons or some ish like that. I don't know. Playing polo. I don't know. And then on the weekends, they're out there, as some people say, slumming it. Out here in the up to no good. And I still wonder why. What's the desire for that? What's the desire for that? But that's what they're consuming. That's what they're all seeing. Oh, I want to be bad. I want to be this, this, and this. It's insane. It doesn't make sense. But that's why it's really important to have those conversations with your kids. Okay? And you know what? You're right. Latchkey kids at a whole new level. Whole new level. Okay? T.I.'s kids. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it. But there are kids out here that are hyper privileged that are out here going, oh yeah, I want to move a little bit of weight. I want to do this, this, and this. And they're doing this stuff. And it's like, why? Why? Francie just said it's glamorized on social media. Damn right it is. But the funny thing is it was glamorized on TV as well. When we were all growing up, before cell phones, before the iPhones and all that stuff came out, where you could just watch videos on your phones and stuff. Before that, it wasn't that accessible. You got flip phones. Okay, that's it. But now these kids are able to watch these things. They're able to watch. Real talk, music videos like Pound Town. They're able to watch those things. It's easily I'm serious. There's a song called Pound Town. If you don't know about it, I mean, don't watch it. The song's trash, but it's real. Okay. But that stuff is easily accessible in their phones. They could just type it in and there it is. Right? Back in the day, you'd have to wait to go home and turn it on to the TV. And if it plays, you get to see it, or you got TiVo or something like that. But other than that, you know what I'm saying? Now, like back then, other than that, it's like it was what it was, But now everything's so easily accessible. It's all on demand. You can play anything you want. You can do whatever you want. And let me tell you, technology is great, but that's the bad side of it too. It's a double-edged sword. It's the pros and the cons. And the con of it all is that these kids can easily tap into a certain YouTube channel or a certain IG channel or page or a Twitter page and watch like fights all day long. Be like, I don't know, Fight Haven, whatever, right? And they can watch nothing but fights all day long. Fights that break out in schools, fights that break out in the streets, etc. They can just see these things all day long. They're watching it and laughing and having a good old time, sharing it with their friends and all that. That stuff really does exist. It really does. And I'm not sitting here saying that it's just cell phones, but it's also the company that they keep as well. The people that are around them, etc. I've said this before and I'll keep saying it till I feel like my dying last breath, until things change. But lately, there has been no regard for the respect of human life. That is completely gone. Life is a video game, apparently. And they think that, I get 7 more lives if I lose this one, so I'll be all right. It doesn't make sense, guys. Okay? It's crazy. But we live in these crazy times. And it's also what's going on not only at home, but it's also what's going on at these schools as well. Again, much love and respect to all you teachers out here. But a lot of the administration, from what we've seen in other stories, and I'm not saying all schools are doing this, but there's a lot of kids out here that are not getting properly disciplined when they do something wrong. If they cause harm on somebody, if they're bullying somebody else, any of those things, they're not suffering the consequences of their actions, even in that world, even in that little country with their own rules and laws and etc. School, they're not even learning any of those consequences. They're not getting reprimanded as bad as they should be. Some of these schools are tired. They're just straight tired. Underpaid and tired. And I get that, but man, this sheriff is not wrong with some of the things that he said here. It's crazy, guys. It's crazy. But that's the information that we have so far, guys, on this particular story. And this is devastating news. I will say this. This is the theory I had, because I still wonder how they knew each other, how they met and all that. But before I go into that piece, I need to say this, okay? I do need to say this piece because it's a theory. It's just a theory. But Andrea, thank you so much for becoming a member. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And just like Andrea, you can hit that join button down below and support this channel. That'd be greatly appreciated. So consider becoming a member today, okay? And welcome, Andrea, to the roller coaster ride, which is the Pascal Show, okay? I appreciate you. Charlie Miller, thank you so much for the 2. We need more transparent adults, no more PC ones. You know what? You ain't wrong with that, Charlie. I'm going to be real. You ain't wrong with that. You ain't wrong with that. I'm telling you, I'll tell you what. Yo, nah, bruh. Listen, Me and my kids are having words. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? If I was in that situation, woo! Trust. They would know exactly how I feel. Okay? But you are not wrong with that. 110% on that. Real talk. Okay? But there is something that I do want to point out, that I think maybe this is what was going on. And again, I could be 110% wrong. We don't know, because we don't know the third person. Okay, we don't know the third victim, but this is just a theory. This is just a theory. Let me just put up this speculation warning here really quick. Speculation warning, 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 warning. Okay, before y'all get all upset, this is just a theory of mine. Okay. And then I'll get to this other super chat here in just a minute, okay? And I do appreciate all the super chats and the new members. I do appreciate it, guys. So let me just show you guys this really quick. And again, this is just a theory, because I feel like these kids, these 3 kids, were used. Obviously, they were used. But let's take a look. We got Layla. May she rest in peace. But this is still tragic news. I have to put this out here, because I'm thinking that there's something else that went down here. And of course, we have Camille. These are both Caucasian girls. I want to point this out. And I'm sorry to say this, and I don't want to get anybody upset, but there's a theory I have. And from what... Okay. Here's my theory. Now that we know that the 3 suspects, 2 of them have been arrested, 1 is still out on the lam, and I hope that they bring justice for these 3 kids. Real talk. And I will show you his face one last time before we get going. But one thing I do want to point out here is, what if they used those 3 kids? We don't know the race of the third kid. Not yet. We don't know if this kid was white. We know that it was a boy, if I'm correct, a 17-year-old boy. We don't know if he is white yet. But if he is white, here's my theory. You have, let me get some of these photos. Come on. We got, for example, this 12-year-old kid, right? And then you have all 3 of them, all black kids. Here's my theory. What are the chances of them using them to go out to break in cars? Because they're white kids. Now, again, if they were all white kids, this theory will only work if they were all white kids. Imagine these kids. Imagine these 3 kids right here going out there into a parking lot or wherever they were going, lurking around in a parking lot. They probably thought that they would look more suspicious because they're black kids going out there than if they were to use white kids to go out there and look around looking in cars. Now, that's just a theory. Okay? That's just a theory. But what if? Again, that's just a theory. So don't come at me. I'm just saying, think about that theory for a second. Imagine a kid, because let's be real, we live in these kind of streets where prejudice exists. Okay? So you have these kids out there in the parking lot walking around looking. But then you have, let me bring one of their faces back up. You have her walking around in the parking lot or in a neighborhood. Maybe they're going, hey, we're going to go to the places that have, we're going to the Saks Fifth Avenue parking lot. So we can't be walking around here because 5-0 is going to look at us. The security of that mall, wherever they were going and doing breaking and entering, they're going to sit there and go, we're going to look way more suspicious than her. So yeah, this is brilliant. Let's bring her out. And some of her friends. And we'll split it. We'll split the money. We'll split the cash. Think about it, guys. Think about it for a minute. Okay? Think about it for a minute. I know some of y'all be like, oh, why does it have to be a race thing? I'm not trying to make it a race thing, but I am also showing optics. And that could have been their ploy. That could have been their move. Let them go out there. We'll keep a lookout while they go around and look for the spots. And then we can go in there and break whatever. Do the smash and grab, etc. And you know what? Also, yeah, Nicole B, it could have been girlfriend. One of them could have been dating the other, so on and so forth. Maybe. Okay. But think about it for a second, though. Sandwich just said, I could see it, but gender-wise, making males making females do it. Yes. You see what I'm saying? Because it's less suspicious when you see assuming. Okay? It's less suspicious if you're seeing, unfortunately, these are the truths of the world that we live in. It'll be less optically suspicious seeing a white girl walk around in a parking lot. Let's just say, I'm just using a parking lot, for example. Okay? It'll be less suspicious seeing that than seeing a teenage black boy walking around in a parking lot. Unfortunately, that is the world that we live in, and it sucks. But let's keep it real. They may have been using them as bait. They may have been using those girls and the guy, too, as bait to look for things. Oh, that car is good. You got to go to that car and that car over there. Those are good. Those two are right there. Those are good. I see a wallet in there, and I saw so on and so forth. So there's some priceless things in the back of that car. Just a theory, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter. It's still bad. What happened here is devastating. It is incredibly sad news. Okay? And I keep saying, please have conversations with your kids. Have conversations with your kids. Know the company that they keep. Because you never know. You just never know. You just never know. Okay? What? No. FBA, you got it all wrong. Run it back. Watch it again. That's not at all what I'm saying here. But be sure to have conversations with your kids. Have an open conversation. Have that transparency. Keep it real with your kids. And hopefully your kids will keep it real with you. Real talk. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Really does mean a lot. Okay? I'm sure when more information comes out, if more information comes out, we will talk about it here. But what we know so far, it's tragic. Tragic information. And they even said it in the title of this article. There's no honor among thieves, and that is 110% true. I wish we knew exactly what happened in that car that sparked off the tragedy that took place. But I guess we'll find out as time goes on. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys for being here. It really does mean a lot. Hit that like button down below. All right. Do not forget to do that. And of course, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Oh, snap. Did I forget? I forgot a super chat. Hold on. Let me grab that super chat really quick. Did I forget it? Yes, I have a couple. Let me roll this down just a little bit. Theme music still playing. You know what I mean? Anna Sweden, thank you so much for the 20 Swiss francs. Thank you. At my 16 best rant I heard in a long time. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Charlie Miller, thanks so much for the 2. This only happens in America, no other country. And then you said it again. This only happens in America, no other country. Yeah, you're right. We're not hearing stories of this, the glorification of firearms, etc. We hear more about that on these states' soil than we hear it from anywhere else. So that is very, very true, and tragic. But again, I appreciate you guys for being here. I will be back on in a couple hours. I got another story to tell you guys. Okay. And this is a brand new one. It's fresh, but I do want to bring it up and bring awareness to the story because it deserves to be heard. Okay. It has to do with a woman, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay. So I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. All right. I got to go and take care of some things, and I'll be back in a few hours. All right. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next show coming up in just a few hours. Okay. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. See you soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.